Hello everyone and welcome back to exercise number 35 of the SolidWorks Basic Tutorial Series. In this video, we're going to be designing a flange adapter. Now, as always, in implementing this part within SolidWorks, we're going to be using many of the SolidWorks features, namely the extrude boss base feature and extrude cut feature. Here we see the schematic drawing for exercise number 35. All dimensions, of course, are in millimeters. We have the isometric view, the top view, and the section view, and the section view is taken along this horizontal line. And of course, we have a question here that reads, what is the mass of this part in grams? Using, of course, a tolerance of plus or minus 1 gram. And to determine the mass, we need to follow the instructions that are written right here. Step number 1 involves you opening your 3D CAD system. Now, in my case, I'm going to be using SolidWorks. But you could be using Fusion 360, FreeCAD, Onshape, Autodesk Inventor, whatever it is. Step 2, of course, is for you to design the part to scale using the dimensions shown here. Finally, we need to assign a material for the component. In this case, for exercise number 35, we're going to be using cast carbon steel. So after you've completed steps 1, 2, and 3, you can then proceed to estimating the mass of the component as required by this original question. Okay, so looking at this part here, we notice that there are actually 3 main levels for the component. Level 1 represents the base flange, the circular base flange with 6 mounting holes that are equally spaced. And these mounting holes, each of these mounting holes has a diameter of 10 millimeters. The midsection here actually is represented by a cylindrical body. And this cylindrical body has a diameter of 50 millimeters. Then we have the top flange. The top flange has 2 mounting holes, right? And there's a hole right here in the middle that goes all the way through the component. Of course, the hole does not have a constant diameter. It starts with a larger diameter right here, 35 millimeters, and 30 millimeters downwards, it actually shrinks to 28 millimeters. Okay, so creating this involves, or actually going to have us use the extrude cut tool twice. For once to create this larger circle, this larger hole, and another to create this smaller one. All right. So with that aside, let's get started with exercise number 35. Okay, so let's start by creating a new SolidWorks part. We set the background to plain white, and we copy exercise number 35 into SolidWorks. As I said previously, step 1 here involves creating this circular base flange. And of course, after modeling this component, we need to determine the mass of the part in grams. So after modeling this part, we need to assign a material of cast carbon steel. So for this exercise, we need to use cast carbon steel. And after that, we need to determine the mass, okay? So step 1 involves creating this base flange. So to do that, select top plane, sketch. Move this to the side here, select circle. And from the origin here, let's draw a single circle. From the diagram, we see that this base flange should have a diameter of 98 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool by clicking your right mouse button and moving your cursor upwards. And let's assign a diameter of 98 millimeters. Now we need to extrude this 2D sketch. So press S on your keyboard, select Extrude Boss Base. And from the diagram here, we see that the extrusion height or thickness should be 15 millimeters, okay? So assign an extrusion thickness of 15 millimeters. And then select OK. Now we need to work on creating this middle cylindrical body. So select this top face, sketch, select circle, and from the origin, let's draw a single circle. Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and from the figure here, we see that we should use a diameter of 50 millimeters. So the diameter of this circle should be 50 millimeters. Again, press S on your keyboard, S on your keyboard, select the Extrude Boss Base tool, and we need to extrude this circular sketch to an overall height of 90 minus 30. See, we have 15, 15, so this is 30. The overall height is 19, so this should be 90 minus 30, so which is 60. So this should be 60 millimeters. And then select OK. All right, so now we need to work on creating this top flange, this top oval-shaped or slot-shaped flange. So select this top face, sketch, and here we see the 2D sketch for this top flange. So let's start by creating the circle, starting from the origin, of course. Let's draw a larger circle. And we see that the circle here should have a radius of 30 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool and assign a diameter of 60, right? Since the radius is 30, the diameter needs to be 60. And let's draw another circle. So select circle and draw another circle. Start from on the right of the component here, horizontally from the origin here. And we need to assign a radius for this larger circle here of 15 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool again and assign a diameter of 30 millimeters. The distance between the centers of these two circles should be 50 millimeters. Distance between this point and this point should be 50 millimeters. Again, all these dimensions are taken from the drawing here, all right? Now we need to connect these two circles using by drawing tangent lines. So go ahead and draw two tangent lines, 1 and 2. All right, so these two lines here are tangent. How do I know? Because there are some relation tags here that indicate there's tangency between the lines and the circles. Now select Trim Entities and delete any extra lines here that we don't need. Let's draw a center line, a vertical center line here, all the way to the top. And we're going to mirror these entities on the right all the way to the left. So we're going to use Mirror Entities. Here's going to ask us for the entities to mirror. Select these lines, 1, 2, and 3. Mirror about this vertical line. And then select OK. Trim Entities again and delete this extra line here. And then select OK. So that creates the 2D sketch for the top flange. Now we're ready for extrusion. Press S on your keyboard. Select Extrude Boss Base. And we need to extrude this top flange to a thickness of 15 millimeters. Okay, so go ahead and assign an extrusion thickness of 15 millimeters. So that creates the main body of the component. Now we need to work on creating the holes. Here we see that the base flange has 6 holes that are equally spaced, and each hole has a diameter of 10 millimeters. So let's work on creating these 6 holes. Select this top face, sketch, and notice here that these 6 holes are situated on a pitch circle that has a diameter of 70 millimeters. So let's go ahead and draw the pitch circle here. So from this origin here, draw a circle, activate the Smart Dimension tool, and assign a diameter of 70 millimeters. Convert this circle to a construction geometry. Select circle again and draw a single circle at the top here. Activate the Smart Dimension tool and assign a diameter of 10 millimeters for the circle. Now we need to create the other 5 copies. So simply go to Linear Sketch Pattern and click on this drop-down menu and then select Circular Sketch Pattern. Here's going to ask us for the entities of pattern. Go ahead and select the circle we just draw and write the number of copies as 6. All right, and then select OK. So that creates the sketch for the 6 circles. Press S on your keyboard, select Extrude Cut, and set the end condition as through all both. So that creates the whole, or actually, instead of through all both, let's select Blind. Okay, so let's redo that again. S on your keyboard, Extrude Cut, and then just simply drag this all the way to the other side and select OK. Previously, the holes would have been extruded all the way to the top and we've created the holes here at the top flange. We don't want that. Anyway, so that creates the 6 mounting holes for the base flange. Now we need to work on creating the holes here at the top for the top flange. So select this top face, sketch, select circle, and let's go ahead and draw a circle starting from this point. From figure, we see that the circle here should have a diameter of 12 millimeters. So activate the Smart Dimension tool and assign a diameter of 12 millimeters. All right, so let's mirror this to the other side. Let's draw the vertical line here. Mirror Entities, select this circle, mirror about this vertical line, and then select OK. Press S on your keyboard, Extrude Cut, and then select OK. So that creates the mounting holes for the top flange. Now we need to create the openings here for this flange pipe here, the Flange Adapter, and we have 2 holes with 2 different diameters. We have one larger hole at the top, has a diameter of 35 millimeters. We need to cut this to a depth of 30 millimeters. Then we have one smaller hole starting from the end of the larger hole all the way through the component. So this is a 2-step operation. So select this top face, sketch, select circle, and let's go ahead from the origin here, draw the circle for the larger hole, right? Activate the Smart Dimension tool, and the diameter of this circle should be 35 millimeters. Press S on your keyboard, extrude cut, and we need to cut this to a depth of 30 millimeters, so go ahead and assign a cut depth of 30 millimeters. And then select OK. All right, now we need to create this second opening, so select this bottom face here, sketch, select circle, and from the origin, again, draw a smaller circle. This smaller circle should have a diameter of 28 millimeters. So go to Smart Dimension and assign a diameter of 28 millimeters. Press S on your keyboard, extrude cut, and we're going to cut this all the way through. So simply just drag this arrow all the way through the component and then select OK. All right. Now let's assign a color for this component, or actually before we actually assign a color, let's assign a material. Here we need to assign the material as cast carbon steel. So go to Edit Material and select cast carbon steel. Apply, close. All right, so let's change the appearance here. Let's select orange. Select orange, and let's change the saturation a bit. Select OK. Again, now we need to determine the mass of the part, because that's the main question here. So let's go ahead and just delete this image. Set the view to perspective, and to determine the mass, simply just go to the Evaluate tab. And if you don't have the Evaluate tab, again, you can simply right-click on the SolidWorks Command Manager, go to Tabs, and activate the Evaluate tab from here. All right. Here we need to use a tool called Mass Properties. So we click on Mass Properties, and the required mass for the component is 1839.61, or 1,839.61 grams, or approximately 1.84 kilograms. Okay, so again, 1,839.61 grams. That's the final answer. Okay, so that concludes exercise number 35. I hope you all enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, please leave them down in the comment section down below. I'll see you all in exercise number 36. Until then, bye-bye.